discuss one of the best kept secrets in automotive preservation. In fact, I've met very few people who have ever seen this or heard of this, and people tend to be quite shocked when I divulge the secret. I want to talk about rust prevention. On modern vehicles, the factories tend to do a great job of preventing rust. It's not like the older vehicles that used to rust like crazy. Modern vehicles, you don't have to worry as much. I won't get even into the details. On the older vehicles, you have to worry about rust. On older vehicles, rust is a constant concern. So when you first see rust happening, what do? Well, I'm going to tell you what to do. Glue it. Crazy glue, Gorilla Glue, any super glue. These glues will actually act as a sealer to prevent the rust from spreading any further. Now what I'm talking about is rust like this. Cars can rust in different ways. A lot of them rust from the inside out, some rust from the top down. Now you have to make sure you know what kind of rust you're talking about. Is it bottom up or top down? Now this was obviously caused by a small nick, a scratch, something, and it started to rust on the surface. I've looked underneath, so I can see that it's not rusted on the underside, it's actually rusted on the surface. What you can do is take a little bit of glue. I actually usually use crazy glue, but any type of super glue will usually do the trick. Just like that. Now it's transparent, you can't see it. The rust will usually only appear wet, even when dry. This will seal the rust off and prevent any further rusting until you can actually get to the rust and repair it correctly. So this is not a permanent fix, but this is a way to prevent spreading of the rust. Believe it or not, this actually does work. It will seal the surface and prevent additional moisture from getting to the rust and causing the rust to spread. I've seen this work on many applications, many times. I've used it myself, so now I'm sharing the knowledge. A lot of people ask me, what is meant by rusting from inside out? They tend not to understand what that means. Let me explain it. Imagine this piece of sheet metal is the body of your car. This can represent the inner wheel housing or a bracket, a brace, anything that's inside the car, inside the body, that you normally can't see. Okay? What can happen? The kind of rust that I'm talking about preventing with glue is on the surface. So you get a little nick, a scratch, a ding, a rock chip, it goes through the paint, it goes to the metal, then the metal begins to rust. If you put glue directly onto the rust immediately, this will stop the rust from spreading over the surface and eating through the metal. Glue will not prevent rusting from the inside out if that's how the rust is happening. So rusting from the inside out, what that means is the rust will actually start inside here, on the inside. Rust can actually start on the inside. So if this is the inner fender well and this is the body, the rust will actually start here, in the undersurface, or here. When cars are manufactured, especially the older ones, primers and paints were never sprayed down here. It just wouldn't get all the way down. Nowadays they use a different processing, so we won't discuss modern cars. This is only for older vintage cars. So water and moisture can actually get inside here and start to rust from the inside out. Or it gets inside here and rusts literally from this surface outwards. And that's why sometimes you might see a little tiny bit of rust on the outside. Maybe you can put a dab of glue on it, scratch it off, a little bit of paint, it's all fine. Well, no, because on here it's actually rusted clean through. You go to touch this area and the whole thing breaks apart. This is what rusting from inside out means. And here again, we have a tiny little spot of rust starting. It could have been a scratch, a ding, groceries coming into the car, who knows. All we know is this is just the starting of rust. It's not from underneath, it's just on the top. So, a little bit of glue. Just take the glue, dab it on like so, and Bob's your uncle. You're done. Of course, don't leave it like this permanently. Don't think this is a permanent solution. The rust will have to be taken care of, removed correctly, primed, painted, rust-proofed correctly. But for now, this will make sure to seal off the area